Welcome back to True Print for Life. I'm your host, Christina Vera.
And I'm your co-host, Maylin and Sambois.
So, Maylin, summer is almost over.
I don't say it.
I know. We've been talking a lot about like summer, and it's just like this whole thing is like, how do you transition from summer to fall mindset? And I don't think you really, I mean, maybe you do realize or you don't realize, but like summer is a whole different vibe. Mm-hmm. And then when things start to change, I don't know, I get a little sad, but I feel like I shouldn't be getting sad.
Well, I think it's normal because it's almost like you feel, it is a feel more than a reality that you have more freedom.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe for students, that's true because they have a break.
Yeah.
Right? Even though in some positions they tell you you have a break, you really don't. Right? Because in your position at the Columbus City School Board, you're supposed to have a break. It's not a break, right? Because you're still having meetings. And even for us, we're like, oh yeah, the summer's gonna be easy. As we were thinking about, like, every year we say this, and I laugh, and she knows.
I know it's always me saying it, like, oh, it's gonna calm down, and she's like, why do you keep saying that?
Because it's like, not true.
I don't know.
No season do we ever have a slow season, regardless of how many powers, how many programs we have. That season, I think, is always busy.
Yeah.
And we were looking forward to the summer because we thought it was gonna be slower, and somehow we're in August. Yeah. Like, how do we get here to like almost mid-August?
Yeah, it's so true. And as Maylin kind of mentioned earlier, I was reading an article and it did say that people view summer as a time to be free. Like there's this thing, it's like, oh, it's summer, I'm going to be here, I'm going to do this.
It's the sun, really.
Yeah, and it definitely is, I think, due more to a laid-back work vibe. Like people are out, you're on vacation, you're able to be outside more. And then not to mention just the sun, the vitamin D. Like we know vitamin D actually does play a part into how we feel, like how we feel about ourselves, how we look. And so like summer just kind of gives all the vibes.
Yes. And if you live near water, if you've been blessed enough to travel and see like the water, like, I mean, like, you know, you love the water. So I was like, oh, she's going to have some epiphanies when she comes back because it's so amazing. But then you get back and you're like, okay, now it's August, and you have to start getting ready, not just to be fully on work mode, because you kind of had like, it's some jobs were giving you like hours on Fridays. You only work like half a day, and the flexibility. Everybody was on vacation, so they were not bothering you so much, right? Because everybody was off. So that was great. But now you have to get mentally ready for going back. And then your kiddos have to, if you have children or nieces and nephews or kids that you mentor, have to go back to school, whatever that's going to look like this year, right? And if you're in some states where people are striking, I don't even know.
Yeah.
So I think what we wanted to have was a conversation about how do you start getting prepared for that, for all these different things as a student, right? If you have an internship, if you are, working somewhere, how do you start getting ready to go back to school? How do you get ready to go back to work? And if you have kiddos, how do you help your kiddos get ready? Because I know your kids are not gonna like to go back to school.
They're not happy at all. And this is the tax-free weekend. And I'm like, hey guys, we got to go buy school supplies. And Adrian was like, I'm not going. Like he straight up told me he wasn't going. But I think
he's my favorite.
Yeah, no, he cracks me up. All my kids are kind of animated in their own ways, but they all definitely love summer. But fall is also a big vibe in my house. Like the girls, we have a lot of traditions, and I think that's kind of what we kind of wanted to kind of reiterate today. Is like, when autumn arrives, people tend to feel like a loss of freedom. But I feel like it has to be part of like that mindset shift of like, actually, no, there's a lot of stuff that, at least in my household, we are very excited about with the fall. And, like too much. Like we do the pumpkin patch and, we go to the apple orchard and I try to decorate the house a little bit differently in the fall.
It's a whole vibe.
Yeah, the candle, the pumpkin lattes and the sweater. I'm all about a flannel and some Timberland boots when the weather
Your outfits be fire in the fall.
I love a good scarf, oversized sweater. I bought this oversized sweater in like July. I cannot wait to wear it.
I think you need like a whole you need to start putting like at least once a week your style. So help people social media.
No. I really am not. I'm not that gifted. But there's just certain things that I think fall does have. But it's one of those things that we have to remind ourselves, and we wanted to share with our listeners is that like for the most part, right? Like most of our jobs, they do provide some level of pay time off. Or, and thinking about like travel doesn't just have to happen during the summer. Like,
Absolutely.
actually there's a lot of off seasons that, it might be cheaper. Not coming
Yes.
from a poverty mindset. Let me end that.
But also the winter though, like if you
Yeah.
live in Ohio and the fall, the winter is not your jam, like not mine, then I love traveling in the fall and I love traveling in the winter because I love the summer here.
Yeah.
So I like to get away when it's cold here
Yeah.
and go somewhere warm.
Yeah, and I think now we're seeing such a shift in how companies are kind of setting up their workforce and their work culture.
Remote.
Like this could be a time just to like if your employer or if you are an owner of a company and you kind of had certain flexibility or certain things that you were doing in the summer, this could be an opportunity to start checking in with your boss and saying like, hey, like, can we still have those Friday flex days, or like can we keep that going, throughout the year? And so don't feel like, you can't go back to the bargaining table or the negotiations table and saying like, I really appreciated, kind of what we did in the summer. Is that something that we can do, even in the fall throughout the winter?
Yeah, some of them would say no. But however, you can have the conversation, and then you can also adjust your schedule.
I mean, right now everybody's hiring, so if they tell you no, I'm just saying, like this is if there was a time in the world to be super super picky about who you work for or I mean, like there's so much change now in work culture. So many more companies are allowing for remote positions. They're allowing people to work hybrid where you come in the office, which I kind of like the idea of a hybrid model.
Yeah.
You get a couple of days in the office to see your colleagues, be able to have some team building. And then the rest of it, like we can hop on a Zoom and we can do this from home, or you can just email me.
Or from a vacation spot, right?
Exactly.
Like if you're remote, you don't have to be at a specific location. Like I think for work purposes, you want to tell your bosses where you are just in case there's an emergency. But if you're remote, like you could work remotely from anywhere. That's the whole point of being remote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so thinking about something to look forward to. So
Yeah.
as you're kind of planning out this transition of like, all right, summer's we're going into fall. If you have kids, they're going back to school. Maybe, there's some other work things that are now going to be a little more demanding on your time. I think it's important to start thinking about incentives like, as a parent, or even if you're just you have nieces or nephews. I know Myleen's when I've been with her with some of her nieces and nephews, she'll always have like this negotiation thing where it's like, okay, before we do this, you got to read. And I'm like, what? And she's like, you got to go read a book just for a little bit. And if you want to go get ice cream or whatever it is, she always threw out that you got to go read. And I think one time you made them write a report about a book.
I sure did. I wanted a summary of what they read.
I was like, I'm so sorry, guys.
That's how I operate. And they love my house.
They do. They love her house. And so it's part of just like they know when they come over, there's some different negotiations that Titi Maylin is going to have. And they're for it, right? And so we think about these things that sometimes we're intentional about when it comes to kids. But like, what if we start doing that with ourselves? Like in terms of just like, okay, like, I'm going to create some kind of reward system for myself. Like, all right, maybe in October, if you hit maybe you had a health goal or maybe you had a finance goal, like, what is your little like treat to yourself? Because
a massage.
If you start to think about like different things that you start putting on your calendar now for like October, November, or like that January. I feel like January, people get real hype about like New Year's, and then after New Year's, everybody's like, because you have that like this high of like all the holiday stuff. Then you get all the sugar, all the good food. Like you got to see all your friends.
We had Thanksgiving and Christmas right after each other almost.
Oh yeah, and it's just, and then you got New Year's, we get to get real cute and what have you, and then it's like that's second week in January, you're like, this is... So if you already know that, if you have seasonal, like even depression, or if there's certain times of the year that you're like, man, first quarter always really is hard for me, start planning some rewards things for yourself now for first quarter so that you can be like ahead of the game with that and saying like, if it doesn't have to be a trip. It can be maybe you're going to go to the spa. Maybe you're going to just paint, maybe you're like whatever that looks like for you, but finding something to look forward to,
Yeah.
I think that kind of helps the time go by a little bit faster.
I do. And I think because we talk about vitamin D, like I really never put a lot of attention to it, but I do it now. I think you probably want to talk to your doctor and figure out, like, is that something that you can take, right? Because everybody's different with their body. And if so, maybe start taking vitamins, take vitamin D so then your body can have the energy that it needs, right? And the nutrients that it needs to fight the fog, the fall and winter fog, like I call it, because it is really, oh my gosh. So I would say that, like, stay healthy. Figure out what you need to do to stay healthy. If there's some things that you do in the summer now that you really love, figure out if you can do those in the fall and the winter. Maybe it's not outdoors, maybe it's indoor. Like if you play sports, there's places that play indoor sports. Find someone, a team or something, and do something like that. I've seen people play like volleyball in the fall, and then sometimes even in the winter inside doors. So find that, like, whatever it is that you really love over the summer, there may be a possibility you can do that even if it's a smaller scale in the fall and the winter. And yes, I think that's a great idea to figure out something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Like that's my jam. Like if you work hard all week, like what are you gonna do Saturday or Sunday for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think too, like, as much as I do love summer, like it's jam packed because I feel like everybody has an event.
Right.
You try to travel, you're trying to spend time with the kids, you're trying to be at this baby shower, this wedding. Like summer has really turned into this jam packed, especially if you live in like areas that you only have like nice weather a few months
Midwest.
out of the year. Like if you're down south, you get a summer day often. But like us in the Midwest, like this May through October, it's really like this is all we get in terms of just decent weather that we can be outdoors. And so it tends to be like this clustered busy time.
The scarcity, like we have to do it all
we
now.
gotta do it now. Let's have all these events and these rooftop parties, and you're just like, another event, like, so I think that's also part of it, like really understanding that, like, let's be thankful for a transition in pace,
Chill.
and I think it's one of those things where we have to start shifting the mindset of like, okay, this is something I could benefit from. I need a little slowdown. I need to recover from all of the traveling and like July, I was gone most of July.
All July,
Yeah,
guys.
I really was gone most
All
of July.
July.
And I ate so much food and I wasn't working out because I was like on vacation and the kids and
Rightly so.
whatever. And that's not an excuse. That's my excuse. I was like, yeah, I don't have time for that.
You're just explaining what happened.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
so-
really something bad.
Yeah, but now it's like, man, I'm tired from all of that. I gotta now start back up on working out. I gotta start cutting back on just the way I was eating last month, and it's just now understanding like, okay, fall is coming, and I don't want to get in this place of not resetting.
Yeah. So reset early.
Yeah, reset early because that November, December hit, we know what comes along
It's
with
over.
those months. You get the bigger shirts, the stretchy pants, you eat in, and you're like, wait. And
Not
then
just for Thanksgiving, for the whole month.
for the whole month because it's cold outside, you want to eat, you want to watch Netflix. That whole Netflix and chill thing becomes like so
It's dangerous.
And
Yes.
if you're not careful, if you don't go into these transitional seasons with a plan or at least a goal in mind that you want to keep up, it can easily become something that you are like, wow, I just got so far away from my goal. So
Yeah.
I say all that to say, set a new goal. Kind of looking at whether it's figuring out, do I want to start doing more health related things? Do I want to start focusing on certain elements of my career? But I think this is a period of time to slow down, focus on you, kind of check in. What do I have going on? Because I think that there is a positive with
Yeah.
just the piece of I know when we were dealing with the kind of like the pandemic, when it first kind of where everybody was locked in the house, for a period of there, I was like, I'm okay with being in the house. And then it got a little
still
bit
okay.
too much. But now I'm like, I wouldn't mind just being, but so it's just understanding that sometimes we just have to embrace what's happening and strategize as to like, okay, how do I make this work for me?
Yeah, and use the time to grow. Like I think resting, resetting, figuring out what goals you want to do. You want to run a 5 or 10K, which are very popular in the fall. And they give you like chocolate at the end or hot chocolate or something in some of them. So figuring out that's something that you want to do with a group of friends, I think it's good because then you'll be training up to that point, which is a healthy goal and like, and kind of like socializing goal as well. So I feel like that's a good one. And then maybe read a book, right? So maybe there's a book that you've been trying to read, but you've been so busy this summer that you haven't had time. Pick up a book, read a couple pages a day, and you probably will be done by the end of the year with that book. So that's a good goal. And then maybe a financial goal because the holidays are really not for me anymore, but I think for a lot of people, they're almost stressful because you have all these people you have to buy gifts for. And I feel like if you can start planning now, some people start shopping early. So if you have a list of people that you have to shop for, and you have a budget, which I think you should have one, then as you are throughout the couple months, you may be able to knock out a couple people out of your list, and then it's not so stressful at the end. So try to plan that slowly to see what you can do. Is this a thing for Christmas?
Yes.
Here's your reminder.
So it's funny, Myleen's talking about that. My daughter sent me a text message today. She said, just a reminder, Christmas is in 20 weeks. I said, get off my phone with this.
So that was a TikTok video. She
sent me a TikTok video that Christmas was in 20 weeks. I just sent her the face slap emoji because I was like, I can't even think about Christmas right now. If you celebrate holidays, you understand what the chaos is for that.
Which is why you should start planning earlier because I know some of my friends that like to shop.
It's me. I'm her friend. I'm the person she's referring to. I'm always like, because these kids, they have what they need. I'm sick of Christmas. I just want to get to we need to get back to what Christmas was supposed to be about, family time.
It's hard to do that now when you have trained them the other way. So that would be a very slow transition because I tried to tell her guys years ago, but she didn't listen. So now we're here,
because I had a poverty mindset. I was just giving my kids everything I didn't have, thinking I was doing them a favor. And really what I've done is just created a lifestyle I can't always maintain. And so
and you can, but this is my thing, right? So I tell this to even my brother, and I tell this to people that I love. If you're spending hundreds of dollars, right, on gifts and things for your kiddos, which is nothing wrong with spending stuff. I'm not saying not do that, but is everything else set? Like, do they have a savings account? Do they have a stock account? Like, are they investing? Mm-mm. Do they have money saved on it, right? Like, so you have to start thinking about this way. If you have a business, and we're gonna bring Perry back one day, but if you have a business, you can actually pay your kids out of your business up to I think $12,000 a year.
I think it is.
And by doing that, you are not gonna get taxed on that money, right? They're not gonna get taxed on that money. And that is the money they can use to buy the school supplies. They can get that money to buy the clothing, the Christmas gifts. All of these things that you have to spend money on them on anyways can come out of your business, right? And you can give them a job. Your daughters are great with social media, right? So you can have your daughters manage your social media. They can manage some of the administrative work. Your son is amazing. He could be one of our, advertising pictures. So I think we have to start working smarter and not harder on this. So if you're going to spend money on your kids, which you are anyway, do it the smart way, which is why I think everybody should have a business, because you can hire your kids. I mean, there's some things that you have to talk to your accountant about, but you are able to hire your kids. And then you can be spending $500 on them for Christmas and they don't have a savings account or a life insurance. I think that's just dumb, right? And not you dumb.
No,
I'm just saying
you're right, because my kids don't have any of that. Like, they don't have, because it's so true. I always think about that. I'm like, why? Like, all the money over the years, I'm like, these kids don't have any savings accounts.
And they go to college.
I got one in college already, and I'm kicking myself because I had her as a teenager. Mm-hmm. So when I had her, still coming from, this poverty mindset, I guess you could say, Kent and I never had excess money to do any kind of savings at all. But then when we started too, we never kind of switched back to okay, now we need to start doing this for the kids. Like, we do have life insurance. We do have, that set up for our household. No, the kids all have it too.
Okay, good.
So we did do that in my mid-20s. I feel like I finally got policies for everybody. But as far as like savings accounts and stuff, I'm like, that's gonna be the gift that keeps on giving this Christmas,
Right?
because I feel like I look in their rooms, I walk into their rooms and I look at all these things I've bought, and I'm like, this is all investments that I could have
But they're
put.
they're liabilities now.
Yeah. Anyways, but we could talk about this a whole.
But that's an idea, right? So think about that, because then you can start teaching them how to invest, right? So if they like Nike or Apple, like if they buy stocks or those, they're gonna be more excited about the money that Nike or Apple is making
Yeah.
than you buying them certain things, because they can be making money out of this. They can be preparing for college. So I tell people, if you have kids, do you have a life insurance, right? Do they have a life insurance? Do you have insurance to pay your house if something happens to your house? Like, you have to think about all these things first. And I know it's not popular, but it is the most important thing. I don't want to see a GoFundMe account for someone that passed away when we could have set up this could be prevented.
Yeah.
Right?
And so this is kind of like that fall season could be a season that you
Yeah.
make as, kind of it's a refresher. It's an opportunity
It's never too late.
a fresh start. Let me look at what's going on. I'm not at 20,000 events. I'm not, all over the place. Let me sit down. Let me think about what's going on. And I read an article that said actually that fall does become people's, like, health becomes their main priority, because summertime you have all this excess food and drinks and you're not really sleeping, whereas fall, autumn gives people much more opportunity to focus on balance. And so it's a great time to recommit to health and fitness goals, financial goals, like what Maylin is saying. Plus, like, the nicer temperatures, it's not super hot. Like, you can go for outdoor walks. You can smell. I love the smell of fall mornings, the mist, the rain. Like, it's definitely a vibe as well. So, like, I think those are things that we just have to be intentional about highlighting. Because this embracing the downtime, I think, is something, especially if you're one of those people that FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, this is really an opportunity for you to just, like, have a seat, relax,
sit down,
recharge, reconnect with your inner self. Like, you spend all summer connecting with other people. Let's look at fall as an opportunity to reconnect with yourself.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
That's great.
So I think, we'll see. It's still early enough. We're going to figure out.
And this is a journey, guys.
It's a journey.
Okay.
It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Don't be overwhelmed. Just start thinking about, what do I want to do this fall? What short-term goals I can create? What are some incentives that maybe you can create for yourself? And I think the most important piece of this is really just remembering that your freedom isn't over.
It's not. Actually, you just start really now, for sure, because you don't have so many events to be at.
Yeah.
Right? And if you need help, like, reach out to us. Like, we're happy to share with you some resources of who you can talk to for financial, thing or planning. Our Empower Her community is available. So if you wanted to, like, have a coaching session with Christina or I through that community, you can. So yes, so use this time, figure it out. And if you get lost, call us, reach out to us. We're happy to support you in this journey that we are still on.
Absolutely. And I also want to encourage, let this be a time for you to start kind of reorganizing the house. I literally just told one of my kids that I was like, okay, I got to clean out the closet. I feel like because we were so busy, like, stuff has just started to pile up in different corners of my house. And I'm like, I'm going to be in this house a lot. I can't be here with this chaos. So, also kind of think about, like, what can you start to get rid of or donate or just release, so that you can start to create that cozy environment. I always see the memes on Instagram. It's like, when your house is a vibe, you don't really want to be anywhere else.
Yes.
And I couldn't agree with that more, because it's like, I love going places. I love visiting. I love to travel. But there's something about coming home, and I just, because
clean home.
Yeah, you come home to a clean house, or semi-clean. Like, it ain't gotta be clean, but it's certain elements. But when I walk into certain pieces of the house, I'm just like, wow, this closet has gotten out of control. We have this, like, random closet in my downstairs living room, and it has just become like this dump closet. So I'm like, I'm going to rent a little trash can, and I'm getting like, whatever's in there, I'm sure it's been in there all summer, all year. I'm not going into a new season.
Check first.
I'm gonna look, and
Yeah.
whatever it's gonna go. I'm gonna let it go because I want to start getting the house kind of really ready for like this period of time where we get to kind of chill out and just be more so in the house. But I want to be comfortable while I'm there.
That's my goal too. That's been my goal for a couple of years. We're working on
Yeah.
it. We're working on it.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Well, as you always know, we are here. Feel free to post in the comments. As Maylin mentioned, visit us on femergy.org. We have Empower Her community there. If you're looking for people to connect with, this could be a good time to join a virtual community, just so you can have monthly check-ins, which we do have at the Empower Her community. We have Empower Chats. We got different classes, all virtual. Plug in when you can. I think that could be a great opportunity for your fall and winter seasons for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was awesome. I love this.
Me too. All right. Well, have a great week, and we will check in with you soon.
And as we always say,
it's bigger than you.
We're going to say it one more time. Okay. It's bigger than you. Okay.
Okay. We'll do it right now. It's bigger than you.
I love you too. You get to see everything. Thank you so much for listening today. We're excited and we hope that you follow us on
Instagram, True Print for Life, YouTube channel, also True Print for Life. And make sure that you share, like, watch our videos. Make sure that you follow us on all streaming platforms.